takes up a lot of space when discarded.
Maybe the ideas shared by the next team will be helpful to you. Let's see how they solve problems on bubble wrap.
Let's welcome friendly bubble idea.
So we're the FBI.
Friendly bubble idea.
So at first, let me introduce our team. So I am Tashu.
And I'm the 眼镜蛇
I'm 长手
and 松鼠。So at the first, we found that there's 40,000 tons of bubble wrap has been wasted during the pandemic because of online shopping. So we came up with an idea to reduce the bubble wrap to decrease the damage done to the environment. So we came up to solve this problem. We have tried several ideas. So here are some of it. The one-time use bubble helmet is a motorcycle helmet that will turn users' head into one-time use things. But we don't have the picture of this, so please imagine yourself. And the green bubble is to stuff the dirt into the bubble wrap, and we can grow plants in it. And the bubble insulation is to wrap the bubble wrap around the container and let it be insulation. We have done several experiments and it turns out that it works very well. And let's welcome our best programmer, Chang-Su. He will explain what is the BubbleBuster 4.0.
So among all of these ideas that we've think about, so what motivates us into making our BubbleBuster is that we think it is the most interesting idea that we have think about, and it will also be fun when making it. And we think that it is also, it may have the best impact among all of these ideas. So this is our BubbleBuster 1.0 prototype. So it is a structure like this. So there is 2 rollers, and we're using drawing pins here to poke the bubbles. And the roller are 3D printed. And there are 2 rollers in the first that will poke the bubbles on the bubble wrap. And the second group of roller will squeeze out the air in the bubble. So, and the structure is made out of toy bricks. And after this, we found out several problems on this machine. So first, because its structure is 3D printed, so it was not very strong and it will easily break. And secondly, because drawing pins are not very good at poking bubble wraps, so its efficiency is not very good. So here's a short demonstration about this. So as you can see in the video, this machine is, you need to power it by hand. So in the first 2 rollers, the drawing pins will poke the bubble. And in the second 2 rollers, the air is squeezed out of the bubble wrap. And in the final roller, the bubble wrap is being collected and its size have been reduced. But its efficiency is not very good. So after these problems, we have made some discussions, and so we have made another try. So this is our BubbleBuster 2.0 prototype. So here's a demonstration about its structure. It's not the original one. But we've tried to use CDs to cut through the bubble wrap. But it turns out that the CD isn't very strong. So it turns out that the bubble wrap is very strong and our structure isn't. So when the bubble wrap passes through it, the bubble won't break. So and this is a failure product. So after this, so thanks to Chang Chong's brilliant idea of using sandpapers to rub the bubbles, so we have came up with this new design. So it was already originally made in this box. So there is 2 sandpapers at the side, and there is a roller in the bottom, which will show in the later video. So, and the roller with metal spikes on it will pull down the bubble wrap, and the sandpaper at the side will rub and broke the bubble at the same time. So here's a short video about this. So just like this, the bubble wrap is being pulled down by the bottom, by the roller here at the bottom, and the motor and so this is an automatic machine and it can be controlled by buttons. So the motor is pulling down the bubble wrap. But it turns out that because the friction of the sandpaper is very strong, so it can. So the motor's power isn't strong enough to pull it down smoothly. So, and finally, here is a demonstration of how our currently final product, BubbleBuster 4.0 works.
So to explain how this it works, first we need to put the bubble wrap in these 2 pipes, and then we need to roll handle, and then the machine will squeeze the bubble wrap into 2 pipes. After that, you can take out the bubble with no bubbles, bubble wrap with no bubbles, but it has many issues on this machine. The structure is easy to break. So next will come our artist Songsu. He will explain our presentation.
We got some filtration during the process. The main filtration is then we brought the 2 transformers. After the first test, we bought a new one and it brought the gas. There is a video. Finally, we found a problem. The problem is the short circuit caused the problem. We removed it and it worked. We use recycle box, CDs, cardboards, and toys to construct our machine. Not every component is well fitted. We need to adjust the component again and again. Sometimes we need to go to the recycler to find better components. It's very frustrating but also fun.
Okay, I'm going to talk about art with our machine. Okay. The art on our project is inspired by a game called Among Us, and the 2 main roles are the crewmate and imposter, which are the guys in the drawing. And we made this art because we want to make this machine more attractive and friendly. It will not look like a box full of garbage, and in the future, we hope it can be more interesting. This is an imaginary print of our product. The outside is a carrot. We can put bubble wrap into the mouth, and the top is a little man lifting the earth. It means the support to the environment, and there can be music with of the movement of the little man. We also design the handle. We can scroll the handle, and the machine will eat a bubble wrap. It allows more interaction with kids.
Okay, so after all of these, let me give a quick recap and summary about what we've talked about. So first, in the BubbleBuster 1.0, we've used drawing pins to poke the bubbles. And in the BubbleBuster 2.0, we've tried to use CDs to cut through the bubble, but it turns out that it doesn't work. And in the BubbleBuster 3.0, we've used sandpapers to rub the bubbles. And finally, in the BubbleBuster 4.0, we've combined some of our ideas that we've tested before to make this final product currently. And although this machine might look simple, but we have spent some time on it to test what is the best way to roll the bubble wrap, because we need enough efficiency to make it can be used in the real life. So, and because this machine is simple, so it can be made in any sizes and be easily manufactured, and it can also be implemented easily in some places like markets to make people easily to use this machine. So I'm going to explain our future actions for this project. So while our current action only limits building this machine, but we think that it is more important to make a good design first, then spread it directly into the public. So first thing we're going to do in the future is to attract people's attention on this issue by putting this machine into some big places like markets. And the second thing we're going to do is to make some survey to get the ideas from the public about some clever way to recycle the bubble wrap. And we'll do this by some online surveys. So, and finally, we're going to spread these ideas back to the public that we've collected. And we're going to do this by setting some online accounts like Facebook or YouTube accounts. And with that, you're watching we're the FBI, and you're watching the BubbleBuster 4.0. And thank you for listening.
Thank you for sharing friendly bubble idea. And now we would like to invite the judges to give them some comments and feedback.
I think you have good observation about the environmental issue. Also, of course, during the pandemic, the online shopping increased and also create a lot of the bubble things. But you just mentioned it's just a easy toy, right? It's easy to make, and so, but it's probably the idea is it cannot be commercialized, because I just have one question about, do you check the existing solution, like the recycling industry? What did they do when they recycling these kind of bubble wrap, and before you were experimental? And also, I think it's good for the last the PowerPoint that you mentioned. You want to spread the kind of increase the consumer awareness that like we probably need to reduce those wrap. So you can think about not using the bubble wrap and another materials for the wrapping, but it come out to protect the merchandise you purchase. So yeah. So my suggestion is probably you need to have more specific action plan or implementation about your idea, so you can think more deep in your project. Yeah.
Okay. I would like to encourage this program, because sometimes the very tiny things may change the world. Yeah, but however, the process of your 1.0 to 4.0, the different versions, it's a very good effort. But however, maybe you need to be more measurable and scalable to this machine, to this tool. For example, the 4.0, the latest version, it rely on a lot of frictions to bust the bubbles, to poke the bubbles. So maybe a lot of tiny stuff may be created during the process, and the energies, think about it, the energy may consume during the process, the engine, the power may consume during the process. So based on this logic, maybe the first one, with the pins, and maybe it's more, if you have more intense pins, maybe it's more efficient and less energy consumed. Maybe that's a different thinking I may suggest. So it's more and talking about the scalability. It's in your machine, maybe 1 meters of bubble wrap is okay. 1 meters. How about 10 meters? How about 100 meters? So how would you work well if the scalability becomes normal? Such big amount of trash, so many bubble wraps, and how would you deal with this small machine, small tool to deal with this big amount of bubble wrap? You need to think about this scalability, efficient, and the energy consumed, and maybe some pollution you created during the process.
Thank you. I think the machine itself is a brilliant idea. I mean, although it's quite, we are not talking about big invention, but just for reducing the size of the wrap, I think this is a great idea. I mean, you do notice that there are some issues in our life, then probably we can do something about it. So I just want to confirm that your objective of this machine is to reduce the size of the bubble wrap, right?
Yes.
So to reduce the space. But have you ever tried that if I poke all the bubbles, how much space I can save? Anyone can quantify that one?
Okay, because the bubble wrap is mostly contained of air, so we think that its size will be decreased a lot if we poke all the bubbles on it.
Yeah, but how much is a lot? I mean, when you promote it, if you want to promote this idea to a supermarket or whatever, or you want to promote this machine to other people, and then they will ask you, what is the efficacy? I mean, what is the effectiveness? That means that you say, you convinced me that they can save the size of the wrap, and then how much can it save? And what is that beneficial for me? Why bother I should do this? If that can only reduce a small space, why bother I do this? So you have to convince people that, because I can save a half or even 80% of space, so you can do it, and you can save the usage of big plastic bag to contain those bubble wrap, right? So you have to quantify that one. And what will be the user of this machine? What is your user?
The user is mainly like the market customers, so they could get, so that the people are buying something with the bubble wrap. So we're going to put it in some places like markets. Yes.
You mentioned earlier in your presentation that during the pandemic, people buy things from online shopping. So I receive a package, and then there are a lot of bubble wrap, and I bring those bubble wrap to supermarket, to pocket, and I bring it home, or I can leave it there.
Yes.
Should I bring it home and to put into the garbage of my house, or I can leave the plastic, the wrap in the supermarket? What is your idea?
I think the say these procedures, we're going to work on it and make these procedures in a further project because this is not the final product.
This is not a final product, but you can definitely decide how you are going to use it, right?
I think in the current scale, where in the future, I think the people are still going to take these things back in the home.
Okay, so
in this
so
current scale.
Okay, so then we have to ask ourselves, are people convinced to do so? If I had to bring it to the market and then poke it and then bring it home, how much people will be motivated to do so? So do we really solve their problem? If not, then this machine will be just a good invention, but not practical. So that's what we are. Of course, I think at this young age, I don't expect you to think about everything. I think it itself is a good idea. Just it's a shame to see that this idea cannot be sustained because we didn't think it through. And then, and then you also mentioned about you will do a market survey. I'm just curious what you are going to do. What's the content? What's the questions you would like to ask?
So the survey's content will be mainly about the issue of bubble wrap waste because we think that the survey is the most natural way to attract people's attention on this issue. So even though we're doing a survey, but our main goal is to make people notice on this bubble wrap waste problem and even join us that will be happening in the future.
I think the intention is great, but I would suggest you to do it at the beginning. You do it at the beginning, and then you know what people. I mean, how many people are kind of have this trouble dealing with the bubble wrap, and then how do they usually deal with it, and then you find out the answer, and then you say this will be the best solution. Not the other way around. I mean, what you are doing is the other way around. So maybe I will do the survey first. And then so I can design the best product to solve their problem. So that would be my suggestion. Okay, so any other further comments?
And so maybe you can go further to design, to decide what's your target user, target audience. Maybe it's a housewife in a home, maybe in the supermarket, the manager, or someone else. It's necessary to decide the target audience in the first place before you design all this machine. Yeah, you can think about it.
Thanks to the judges for their comments and encouragement.
The invention maybe has solved the problems that have troubled us for a long time.
While they came up with the interesting idea to reduce the size of bubble wrap, but we still have to shop wisely.